Hi everybody, sorry I'm a little bit late. I forgot to add the title to the live video. My name is Hank Linderman. If you don't already know me, I'm running for Congress in Kentucky's 2nd District, which runs from Bullitt County down to Bowling Green and Owensboro across to Danville, 21 counties. I won't repeat the names of all the counties, although I'm perfectly capable of it. Today we're going to talk about hardship, hooligans, and hope. Let's start with hardship. These really are hard times for virtually everyone in the world at the same time. And I don't think any person living, and probably not even our parents and grandparents, ever experienced anything quite like this. So this is a very, very difficult time. It's very challenging. And I noticed today that Amazon workers are discussing striking because they want protections from the virus while they're working. Working at an Amazon warehouse is very tough work, lots of work, and driving and delivering packages all day long and getting exposed to who knows what. I can understand why these folks would need some protection. Whole Foods workers are apparently staging a sick out. So, the front line right now in this battle is not in Washington, D.C. It's in the hospitals, of course, but it's also the people that are stocking the shelves in the grocery stores and who are taking care of us when we go to the grocery store and who are helping us in the pharmacies. So when you go to the grocery store, try to give a wink or a thumbs up or a smile or a thank you to the person who's helping you there. These folks are keeping us all going. I'll be going to the grocery store later this week. I'm about to run really low on food, so that's what we'll that's a good way for us to help our neighbors that are taking care of us. There's some new news on masks today. I've seen several folks several doctors on the internet have been saying, masks are maybe not a bad idea, and the mask may not be that effective at stopping the virus from getting to you, but they do prevent you from touching your face. Once you start wearing a mask, if you're wearing a mask in public, you notice right away when you touch your face. And another doctor stressed, you can take care of 99% of your opportunity to get infected just by keeping your hands clean, being very aware of where they go, and making sure you don't touch your face. So you don't have to have a medical mask. This doctor explained that having a proper medical mask, the only time he's using it is when he's in a room with a patient who's already sick, who might be coughing, that they're doing a procedure, that he might be coughing. So he said you don't need to be so concerned about the mask at all times. But it will help us when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the pharmacy. If you've got a mask on, you'll notice when you touch your face. So that's a good reason to use the mask. You don't have to have a mask that's been manufactured. Use a bandana. You can use a scarf. I recently got a scarf, anticipating that when I went to the store I'd want to have something to cover my face. You can make masks from various things. I'm not going to share some of the funniest ones, but I've seen masks made from very unusual things, and I've heard unusual suggestions for masks, so maybe we should get some pictures of people wearing unusual masks. Back to the hardships that we're going through. Small businesses are particularly under the gun right now. And, large businesses were taken care of with the $2 trillion bailout that's actually leveraged to as high as $6.5 trillion. And I believe there's $380 billion that's earmarked for small business. But it's going to be very difficult for small businesses to get that help directly from the SBA. So what I'm hearing, and if you're a small business owner or if you have a friend who's got a small business, my understanding is you do not approach the SBA directly. You go to your banker, and your banker will be the location. That'll be the infrastructure for these small business association loans. I also spoke with a wonderful accountant in Bardstown today, who's a great Democrat. I'm not going to name her because I didn't ask her permission to name her, but she said in a lot of cases for small businesses, you may be better off having your employees go for unemployment insurance. File for unemployment, because the state is going to bump up, in addition to what you would regularly get. Apparently, the state of Kentucky is going to bump that up a bit. Again, I'm hoping what I'm giving you is accurate information, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm not intentionally trying to mislead anyone. So if you find something that I've said here is wrong, please post it, and we'll get it straightened out. The next thing I wanted to talk about is, in the title we talked about was hooliganism. And boy, that's an old word, hooligans. I remember, I think back in the 60s when I was quite young and growing up, it was maybe the first time I heard about hooligans, bad kids or whatever, misbehaving folks. We've had some misbehaving from citizens in various states throughout the nation. An example that happened, I think, over the weekend in Louisville, apparently a street was closed for street racing, and you had hundreds of people watching while people raced on the streets. Of course, that's illegal and dangerous and all of that, but during the time of the coronavirus, now you've got all these people gathering together and sharing the virus. And I heard a lot of complaints about that from various other folks. Well, then I also saw a golf course in Louisville, or in Jefferson County, I believe, that there were pictures with all sorts of golfers out and not doing any social distancing. They're clearly right next to each other, going out and golfing and interacting. Now, the only way that this social distancing and us sheltering in place, the only way that this works is if we all do it, and we're all really careful about it. You know, the time that you think, well, it'll be okay if I go do this, if I go do that, it'll be okay. You do not want to be the person who starts a new run of infection in a community. So we do need to, all of us, be careful about it. You know, there's a pastor in Florida. This just came out on the news. Pastor Rodney Howard Brown of the River at Tampa Bay Church was booked into a local jail on Monday on charges of unlawful assembly and violating Hillsborough County's stay-at-home order. Now, he posted bail 30 minutes later, but he was arrested because he went ahead and had services this past weekend. I was able to, one of the churches that I like to attend is Mount Zion Baptist in Bowling Green, and I'm friends with several members of the church, and I was able to tune into their broadcast. So I suspect if you've got a church, your church is broadcasting a service. And if maybe you want to try a different church, try Mount Zion Baptist. They've got a Facebook page and they go live on Sunday. But in this difficult time, we need our faith, we need our friends, and we need our families to get through it. It's going to be a very difficult time, and it's going to continue to be difficult for a while. And we need to all be strong. I'm reminded of Franklin Delano Roosevelt saying, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The accountant I spoke to in Bardstown earlier today said, showing me that she was okay, she said, I'm okay today, I'm fine. I'm fine. And that's really the attitude we have to have. We have to be willing to be fine with each day and do our best. If you're going to go play golf, there's another golf course that I'm going to mention because they're doing a good job. It's Neville Mead Golf Course, and I spoke to a golfer who went out there, and they are doing their very best to allow you to keep playing golf but maintain social distancing. So where normally there'd be 2 players in a cart, it's only 1 player in a cart. The carts are sanitized before and after each round. You're not allowed to touch the flag when you get to the pin. You're not allowed to lift the flag out. And the bars and restaurants are closed. You pay for everything at a window. You stay away from each other. And that's the kind of thing that should be fine. That sort of behavior should be fine. Even if you want to have friends over to sit on your porch and they sit 10 or 15 feet away from you, you might be able to socialize that way. But we really need to be careful because this virus has now, it's now reached the position yesterday. It was the number 3 highest average cause of death in the United States. And that's on the links, by the way, that are posted just before or just on my page. You can see that. It has moved back down today, but the day is not over. And of course, the coronavirus statistics get updated. They get updated towards the end of the day. So, hats off to Neville Mead Golf Course and any other golf course that's doing that kind of thing. I don't know what to do about the street racers except to say, guys, maybe you could try a foot race and just stay away from each other. You can keep a little bit of distance and still get out there and compete and do whatever. I know that's maybe not as much fun as racing a car, but it's a lot safer. And I heard the mayor talk about it. He's not sure yet what they're going to do about it, but you can be sure they're not going to let that go for very long. Oh, we've got a question. What do I know about Social Security? They want to decrease benefits. I will have to, Jan Quinn, I'll have to look into that, but I'll look into it tomorrow. I haven't heard anything in particular yet about Social Security. And thank you for the question, but I'll have a look at it and get back to you tomorrow. I do have a radical idea that I want to propose, and this is under the category of hope. As we promised, we'd be discussing some hopeful things. And I think the radical idea is we just need to say in America, we're going to give free medical coverage related to the virus for everyone. That's for testing, for treatment, for rehab. That is the only answer really at this point. And yes, it would need to include people who aren't here, who are undocumented, who aren't here legally, because if we don't get every single person taken care of, if we are not able to eradicate this disease down to the very last person in the country, then we're going to have recurrences of it. So I get it that we are, supposedly citizens are going to be getting $1,200 or $600, depending on what your income is and depending whether you're employed. But that's not going to cut it. I'm seeing some folks are having to pay as much as $11,000 for treatment for the coronavirus. So I'm proposing that we consider that. Now, this is not my proposal. This is not the first time I've seen this. And there's an article in the New York Times, and I'm going to look at the title of it right now. Let's see. And I have posted it on my page. It's New York Times opinion. Jobs aren't being destroyed this fast elsewhere. Why is that? So in that discussion towards the end, you'll see that there's a discussion about suggesting that we simply pay for all of the expenses related to this coronavirus, related to this pandemic. The last little thing I want to suggest to you all is to find some ways to feel hopeful, because we're going to have some dark hours, and I've had some dark hours earlier today. And when you start to feel that, that's a good time maybe to get out for a walk. It's a good time maybe to do some chores. It's a good time to watch something uplifting. So I'm going to suggest a very uplifting film to you. It's a movie called The Biggest Little Farm, and it's available on Amazon Prime. Unfortunately, it's not free. You'll have to pay $4 to rent it, or $12 or $13 to own it. And it's the story of creating a farm that, through its diversity of agriculture, became very, very successful. An organic farm. I'll just tell you about it. Every thinking American needs to see this. Anyone who eats food probably needs to see this as well, and I certainly eat food. Thank you all. I'll be back tomorrow, 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern. Keep those questions coming. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you tomorrow. You know that I love you all. Take care.